Hi there, and welcome to the BIMvoice podcast. My name is Petru and I'm glad to have you here. I'm a civil engineer living and working in Norway since 2014, and I'm passionate about building information modeling. I truly believe change is necessary and inevitable in our industry. To implement faster, better, and less costly ways of working, digital transformation is vital, and everyone involved must stop just talking about implementing BIM and actually do it. And what way to do it better than just to learn from the ones who have done it in the past or are doing it right now? Welcome to a new episode of BIMvoice podcast. Today's guest is the business developer for innovation in construction at IF Gruppen, a leading contracting and industrial group. Welcome, Øyvind Kjøllesdal.
Thank you. Thanks.
It's so nice to have you here. Can you start telling us a little bit about yourself?
Well, yeah, I live in Oslo. I'm married, got 2 kids, so quite an ordinary standard package. I'm still burning for contributing in creating more efficient processes in the construction industry by better collaboration and, of course, support of technology.
That sounds cool. Can you tell us a little bit more about what are you doing at your work?
Yeah. You opened with you said that I work with innovation and construction, and that's of course true, but I work in the innovation and digitization department in AF Gruppen. And AF Gruppen is the second largest general contractor in Norway. I've been there for 1 year. And I'm responsible for our strategic focus on digitizing the construction sites and coordinating internal and external innovation initiatives, as well as what we could call transformation projects as well. So innovation is improvement projects where we try to just do things a little better than we used to do. And our transformation projects are about being more visionary about the future, if that makes sense to you.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. What is the role of BIM in this? Does the BIM plays any role in this in what you try to apply?
Absolutely. BIM is, yeah, I started to work with BIM for more than a decade ago, and BIM is, of course, still one of the most important hubs for information exchange between all the trades, between all the stakeholders, the disciplines. And we're utilizing BIM for visualization. And BIM is also a way of containing the information so it's accessible for the digital tools to access the data, so we could use our tools and use technology to improve our processes. So yeah, BIM is absolutely very important in this.
What about VDC? I know you have long experience working with VDC. How this go together with BIM?
To me, VDC is about combining people and technology for those to fulfill the main goals of the project, and also, of course, to add monitoring, or to constantly monitor how well your team is doing. So yeah, absolutely. The BIM is one of the main pillars and an enabler for achieving a process of virtual design and construction, where BIM is the central hub containing the project information, and also the enabler for communication and mutual understanding of the product which the team is creating and working with.
When we say that you use this BIM VDC in your projects, are we talking only about the building part of the project, or do we talk also a little bit about the managing part of?
Yeah, so that's also one of the industry's goals, to achieve good BIM processes also in the facility maintenance phases. And some owners and facility managers are there already, but I feel that we thought 5 years ago that everything would be in a BIM process, and all of the information would run smoothly from one phase to another, from one stakeholder to the next. And I think we gotta admit that we're not there yet, but we have improved a lot in the design phases, and also in the construction phase. And what we're trying to achieve now and working with is to also be able to deliver a real digital twin to the facility managers for the maintenance phase of the project and the building's life cycle. So yeah, so that's absolutely something we're looking into.
Is this something you work together with consulting companies, or it's something that you do yourself? Do you use the data you get from designers in this, or?
I think that a lot of this work are done in kind of networks and communities, initiatives like, for example, Building Smart, and other initiatives as well, where the industry together try to form and create the way the industry should work together, because yeah, it's a lot of different stakeholders, a very decentralized organization, which are doing or contributing in the process of creating a building or creating a road or railway or whatever. So I think we got to work together as an industry for achieving this.
Yeah. I think this is actually one of the biggest challenges with BIM and everything else. But because BIMs encompasses each part, like every actors involved in the building process, right? From the planners, the owners, the designers, the builders, the suppliers. It's very important to break out these silos and try to work together, and that's definitely the biggest challenge we face here, because each of us as consultants or builders or asset owners, we focus mostly on our part, and it has not been so much focus on this work together mindset from before. I think I don't know how far have we come with this. It's definitely Building Smart. They are trying to do something regarding this. Do you feel that they are on the right path?
Absolutely, and I think that one of the main reasons why why Norway and the Norwegian industry have come so far in adapting to BIM and VDC in the projects is that we have had organizations and networks like, for example, Building Smart. So Building Smart has been very important for more than 10 years in Norway, and I think that that Building Smart and organizations and networks, formal or informal, will still be very important in achieving this. And of course, we shouldn't just point at networks and organizations for driving these processes. So I, as responsible for the digitization of the construction sites in AF-gruppen, we see that it's no point in just focusing on the construction site for digitizing the construction process. Then we'll need good digital input, and we should be able to deliver a package, a digital twin to the owners and our clients in the end. And therefore, we also work with owners and developers to help them being better doing procurement, making them more, or helping them to be better to procure and order the digital package, the digital twin, in addition to the building or the road itself.
Yeah, I see. I understand that. I think actually the owners, they are not involved enough. It's a little bit too much focus maybe on the design and building part. And I don't know, maybe we don't take well enough the owners in this process. There can be more reasons for that. And one of this is the competency, experience. But we need to find some ways to build some bridges between all this and see how we can bring them more, right? Because if we get a better idea about how he or she wants to use the project, we'll understand better and know better what to deliver, right?
That's true. And especially the private developers and owners, we try to work with them as well, because the public owners and real estate agencies like Statsbygg and Forsvarsbygg, Nye Veier, Bane NOR, you name it, they have actually been at the front for several years, pushing this forward. But we're not only working with public clients, so we also would have to, the industry and AF-gruppen and other contractors as a part of the industry would also benefit from helping the private real estate companies to also being better doing their procurement.
Yeah, there is not a clear understanding. Maybe they just focus about, we need this building, we need to order this, find a company to build it and design it, right? But it's lacking this strategy. Maybe a BIM strategy is not included. It's not taken into account from them. Maybe they even don't know about this, because maybe they are doing the usual way, right? They make a plan and they do it that way, right? Like they did it they use maybe I don't know, a template or something they used many years. How can we inform them better?
Yeah, maybe a podcast like this will help and be some like an eye opener for some of them, hopefully. And of course, I and the industry and Gruppen, of course, would absolutely contribute in doing this.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about some projects. Tell us a little bit about interesting projects you're working on or you are involved on.
Yeah, I myself are not very much involved in our projects now, but I come from Sweco before I started in Gruppen, and before that I ran my own smaller BIM consultancy. So in that period, I was involved as a BIM manager, BIM coordinator, project manager as well in quite a few projects for various types of customers and clients, both from public real estate agencies and contractors and architects, engineers. So I've been involved in those projects, and now in Gruppen, I'm supporting our departments and business units in applying and deploying new technologies. So one of the technologies we're looking into now, we've been testing for a while, is scanning and to use scanning to do quality assurance of the construction site. So what we construct, we check if what we've installed on site are according to the designed BIM. So that's a very interesting technology which we're running, or we're using technology which is delivered from Scaled Robotics, a Barcelona-based company. And we see a lot of good results from doing these processes in different projects. So that's one of the kind of innovation or transformation projects that I'm involved in at the moment.
Yeah. Did you start using any VR or AR on your projects? Or
Yeah, we do that as well. So especially the new highway, or E39 between Mandal and Kristiansand. We've been using VR for communication in the project, and we see that VR gives lots of very good results, and we see that when we're entering the VR, we find errors and issues that we haven't been able to see in, for example, Solibri before. So it definitely adds value. And of course, also, since this project is in the south of Norway, most of the engineers it's around or are based around Oslo. We don't need to travel that much, so it's very important.
okay.
And I know that our subsidiary Betongmast also is investigating and testing VR in one of their projects right now. So yeah,
It's not clunky. It works well enough? It's decent? Like, can you use it without getting pissed off about this technology? Like, do you load in the VR, the entire project, and you can go in and see details?
Mm. Yeah, we advise our projects to have some kind of a VR guy or a role, someone who takes care of setting things up in the beginning. But as soon as, and yeah, of course, to give a little, to teach the team, give them a quick intro. But as soon as this is up and running, it works very well, absolutely. Okay. And our venture company, AF Gruppen and Obos together, we have a venture unit which is called Construct Venture, and we've also invested in Vixel, Virex from Vixel, which is a Norwegian VR company, which Betongmast is using at the moment. And that works very well. Yes, yeah, easy to use. You get a kind of a suitcase with all the stuff you need and pay a monthly rate, and then you're up and running. Just upload the IFC.
Okay, so you skip the setting part of the project. You just load in the IFC and you start using it.
Yeah, and then you can collaborate by BCF, for example, as you do in Solibri.
Wow, that sounds cool. What about AR?
AR, we haven't been testing that AR that much, really. I know there was some testing a few years ago with HoloLens, and yeah, but we're not using it at the moment, at least. But okay, of course, it's something we'll look more into in the future.
Yeah, I see. What about robots? Don't you have any robots on any building site?
In this project, the first pilot we did with scaled robotics, where we're doing the scanning for progress monitoring and quality assurance. Scaled robotics started up with also developing and delivering a robot for being able to run through the sites during the night, doing the scanning and uploading, feeding us back with data from site. So we've been testing that, but we see that the technology is not there yet, maybe, and even though our construction sites are pretty tied up or tidy, it's kind of hard for a robot to navigate through everything. So it's more efficient having a guy or a girl running around doing the scanning. But of course, yeah, we're looking into how robots could support our construction process, and we also use virtual robots, of course, for running processes on the computers. So we got a competence in-house on RPAs. Who is developing RPA for taking care of manual or processes that we usually do manually on the computer, getting a robot doing that instead. For example, downloading data from the project hotel, uploading or opening this in Solibri, running the checks in Solibri, and upload the results to the project platform again. So that's also a way of using robots, of course.
Yeah. But is that easy accessible for everybody, or it's only some people that have access to this? It's easy to integrate for every worker, for example, to do that, or?
With the support from Håkon in our innovation and digitization department, it's easy for every project to use this.
Okay.
But he'll build the processes. Yeah.
Okay, that sounds interesting.
Yeah, it's cool. A lot of cool stuff going on, and yeah, we're of course also looking into how robots could support our processes in the future.
Yeah, I see. What about drones? Are you using drones? Do you find any value in drones?
Yeah. We're using drones in most of our horizontal projects, like roads and railways, and yeah, and also of course in the excavating phases in our project. So yeah, we're using drones a lot. Regarding the robot parts, it's not actually a robot, but we're also testing a skeleton just to support our workers doing heavy work over with their arms over their heads. So that's also something we're testing these days.
Yeah, it's something like a backpack that you strap on yourself, and you use the
like
hands.
a skeleton which you install out. Yeah, so not just a backpack, but a frame
Around the
supporting
body.
you.
So
Yeah.
you go. Okay, wow.
Yeah.
You need to send me a picture with this.
I'll do that.
I think I've seen some robots that looks like dogs. They try to do some different stuff, but not. And I read about this kind of enhanced hands and.
But that's not a robot actually. So it's no technology in there except from springs and wires and yeah.
Nothing electrical, nothing
Not as
computational,
far as I
nothing.
know.
So you just pull and push, and you get enhanced muscles.
Yeah. Must be
Wow,
awesome.
that's interesting. And is that safe? It's safe for the people maneuvering this?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's safe. We're testing this, of course. So there might be situations on site where this is not appropriate, but I know that Ford, the car manufacturer, they're using the same skeleton when they're installing things from below under the cars.
Yeah, I see. If we go back to the drones, what do you use them for? You said you use them on this kind of projects, but what do you do with them? Just taking pictures or scanning, or what? What do
Mostly we're taking just pictures and by photogrammetry we're able to create models from those pictures, and then we're able to calculate masses, for example. So we're using it to calculate how much masses there's which are situated in a part of the site, how much we're moving during a day, during a week, So yeah, progress monitoring, and of course also just to be able to enter the site virtually. Just open the browser and look at the latest pictures from the site, and be able to see the situation and discuss it without going physically to the site.
Yeah, that sounds interesting as well. If we go back a little bit to something you said previously, about Norway being in the head of the race or the pack, regarding adoption of BIM and digitalization generally in construction. Give me some examples, if you can, about why do you think we are in front of the pack?
I think there's several reasons for that. We got a kind of an open network in Norway, where competitors share best practice with each other, especially through the networks like Lean Construction and Building Smart, and other conferences like Den kloke teknologi as well. So that's been, I think that has been an important piece for getting where we're today. And in addition, we got also some more formal initiatives, which has evolved from these networks. Standardization and creating common joint best practices guidelines, for example, for how adopting BIM, how to use MMI in the projects. And we also got these public real estate and owner companies like Statsbygg, Nye Veier, Statens Vegvesen, Forsvarsbygg, and Bane Nor, and among others. And they absolutely have been in the front and pushing the industry in being able to deliver a digital process and digital deliveries in the end of the project.
Yeah.
So I think those three factors are the most important for and the reason for why we have become that far. We've come that far in Norway.
I see. What about the self building process? If you look only at this part, do you think like the general contractors in Norway are building in smarter ways than it's doing generally outside in the world, or like from a digitalization point of view? Do you think are we adopting faster or trying different technologies more often and quicker than others?
Maybe, yeah, since at least almost every project are designed in BIM, and a BIM that is good enough to give valuable input to the construction phase. Because of that, we're absolutely utilizing the BIM also in the construction phase with BIM kiosks, pads on our mobile phones, and so forth. So yeah, we're absolutely doing this in almost every project, in of course in various to a various extent, but every project got BIM as a valuable input at some point. So yeah, and also the bigger contractors like AF-gruppen have also been developing BIM requirements for our engineers or the design teams to be able to deliver the BIM and the digital information that we will need for running a smooth digital process on site.
You mentioned before BIM kiosks. Can you please tell us a little bit what these are and how do you use them?
Yeah, it's not very complicated. It's just a computer with one or two big screens, which we have installed either in a container, if it's infrastructure project, or in the barracks, and also in the construction or the building we're building itself. So yeah, it's a huge box containing screens and a computer where everybody on site could access the BIM and drawings and issues from Solibri and so forth, just to being able to reach the data and not at least to be able to use the BIM, the model, as a tool for visually understanding and communicating between the trades in their planning of their working day, for example.
Okay, so you don't use it to also check things. It's not accurate enough to use it also for to check things, or
Yeah, it's accurate enough, but we're using it more or less like a one-way communication tool. But we support these processes with apps on our tablets or phones to be able to deliver data back to the information hub. For if we do our quality check, for example, or have finished a task, then we're able to tick off a box at our phone, or if we're using tablets on the project. So those two, the BIM kiosks and apps on our phones or tablets, are actually fulfilling each other.
do you use your own apps, or is this a software provider that has offered this kind of service?
Mostly we use third-party softwares or apps, but there's some cases where we, together with the developers, do some improvements or adjustments to the tools so they fit our project.
Yeah, it's you can say I have no problem saying which apps are we talking about. Do you use something like Dalux or something similar?
Yeah, Dalux is we use Dalux a lot, and are of course also in checking out and using other tools as well, like StreamBIM and yeah, BIM Sync and Solibri on the BIM kiosks. We've been testing Fun. So yeah, there's heaps of good apps which are absolutely delivering value to our projects and processes.
I see. What Dalux actually is doing, you see the drawings on your phone and on your tablet, or the model as well, or how do you get the information from the model to use it to be usable for a tradesman? How do they use it?
Yeah, it's possible to make kind of checklists or task lists in Dalux, and you could of course access both drawings and the model, and you're able to add data to viewpoints or to add issues if there's something that has happened on site, if there's a scratch on the wall or something, which will be an issue that you must handle in some way, then we highlight that point in the model and create an issue in Dardex for telling someone that the painter needs to come and fix this, for example.
I see. But actually, what I want to go about is, are we going drawless? Is this a good thing? Do we need to go drawless? Can we get to a point where we can use only the 3D model? Is this a good thing to do? Or do we find challenges to do that?
I think my general approach to that is that we shouldn't become drawless just to get drawless. So in some cases, drawings will be better than the model, but I think that the drawings and the model are completing the picture for the workers on site. I think that we should stop creating drawings that no one has asked for. So just to quit or stop doing unnecessary work. But of course, there's some situation where a drawing might be better than the model, and the other way as well. We've run a drawless project which is called Vamma, which is a power plant, a water power plant, and in that project we didn't make any drawings at all.
Zero? Really? Zero drawings?
Zero drawings, that's true. As far as I heard, it's true. So we've done that, and I think that that proved that this is possible, and we learned a lot from the project. And yeah, so we will probably continue in that path, but we're not forcing any project to stop creating any drawings or use drawings at all.
Like you said, there is there is not a good idea to just stop making drawings just for the sake of not using drawings. But from my point of view, I think why we should strive actually to focus more on giving up to drawings. It's the kind of data you have on the drawings. It's a static data that it's very difficult to use in other processes as well. It's just a file, right? And you cannot use that data to model for something else or something, right? But if you have the information, you can use a tool. Maybe that tool doesn't exist today, but you can, like Dalux does, you can take a drawing from the 3D model, right? So from this point of view, I don't like the idea of using drawings because the kind of data it represents. And the second part is just dumb to make drawings after you have a 3D model because of budget reasons, of course, you will use time to do that instead of just using an app to offer you the information you need, right? But this is just a personal opinion, and I'm not an expert, but I did drawings all my life, so maybe I got enough drawings. But this is how I look. I'm thinking about budget, money, and how can you use that data today, and how can you use it in 10 years? Because a drawing, you will be able to use it in the same way, right? It doesn't give you very much flexibility.
And yeah, and it will the drawings will expire very fast in a project, while the BIM is more or less constantly updated. So yeah, it's better to skip creating drawings before anybody actually asks for a drawing, and then they should be able to take that out from the model themselves.
Exactly, and that's the problem, because usually what I see, these public owners, asset owners, right? It doesn't help. Like if you are as a designer or a builder, you come up with better solution, right? It's no point in making that. You don't need that. I gave you a better solution, but they require you anyway for drawings, because they don't have trained people that can use the model. That's the problem. We go back to the training, to the education. I think this is the biggest problem, actually, because if you have already a better way to communicate, a better quality of information, use that. It would be cheaper to just train your entire crew of maintenance people and do that for the next 50, 100 years, right, on the project. Then yeah, uh, something like that.
Yeah, I agree.
Because I think it will definitely help a lot if they start seeing the value, actually. And that's they don't need to be scared, because sometimes people get scared when they hear about BIM. They think they need to change everything. Yeah, of course, you need to change some processes. You need to be willing to improve yourself, to learn about new things, but it's a better way. It's a better way, and you will become smarter in the process, and you will be able to get uh, quicker to what you want to do.
Hmm.
So, but
Absolutely.
like with each technology, it's always there are always some challenges. So this is actually one of the biggest parts. Like, because you say you work with BIM for more than a decade, right? So you've seen this. People talk about BIM for many years, but there are still parts in the industry that are, there are good parts that are very far away, but at the same time we still have the same concepts that we have 10 years ago, right? There are still some entities that, like if you take for example communer or municipalities in Norway, from my point of view, again this is a personal take, most of them are expecting for the bigger entities to take action, to do something before they do, and they just can adopt that afterward, right? It shouldn't be that way. You need to be willing to learn on your own. Yeah, of course you can use something if Statsbygg is doing Urbaninor. Of course, I understand that, but it doesn't mean that you don't use any time or resources to try to educate your staff.
I agree.
Regarding jobs, focused or that have tasks very BIM focused, what kind of jobs there are in your company? What kind of what do people that work with BIM do to implement the BIM strategy? You have people with that must work within BIM. If we talk only about this part, this category of employees in your companies, what do they do, and what kind of tasks do they have?
Yeah, they support the projects and the project teams in running smooth BIM processes during in the projects. We also got a lot of BIM technicians and BIM people in the calculation departments. So those who are calculating projects. Um, a lot of our teams and business units are actually building or modeling BIM themselves for be able to extract quantities and information for an efficient calculation process.
So you tell me that designers don't do a good enough BIM
Yeah,
modeling.
that's true, and that's again because of the procurement in the prior or the phases prior to our phase. Because when the owner and developer doesn't ask the architect to create or model a BIM that is possible to extract quantities from, then they won't get it. So that's something we're definitely working with both in AF Group and in the industry.
This sounds like a big money pit. It's and it's just a communication or a way to look at things, right? Like this is again another symptom of why I mean that BIM adoption is not. It can be better, and it's about communication, right? Why like different actors should talk together, right? If you have want something to be built, it's just dumb to talk with just designer without asking the constructor, how are you going to build this? And is this working? What do you need so you can build this as effective as possible and as best as possible? Why should be that be very complicated? I don't know. I'm not involved in this. I just see it from an outsider perspective, and but for me it seems quite simple. But at the same time, I know the answer is very complex.
Yeah, it's kind of complex at least, but it's probably as I see it, because in our projects and in the projects in Norway, we're still using the traditional contracts and standards, and those are not built um, for applying BIM actually, and to benefit from what BIM could bring to the table, and also new ways of collaboration that's we haven't done traditionally. So I think that will be one of the main things we should focus on in the industry as a whole, is to adopt contracts and standards to what we're able to do with technology and collaboration these days.
Yeah. What can we do to get more attention then from the different project owners about this, that they need to inform themselves, educate themselves about this, and because this is like designers and builders are trying to do, but they get requirements that are 20 years ago old or something. How should we approach this?
Yeah, I think we should approach it both together as an industry and through our networks. And also we got some good examples from, for example, Tønsberg-prosjektet, which is a hospital project in Vestfold County, where they got inspired from IPD contracts, integrated project delivery contracts, from which were I'm not sure if it's very common, but it's at least used a lot in on the west coast of the US in hospital projects there. So they set this as an ambition that they wanted to run IPD, run an IPD contract in their project. And I'm sure that since they did this, that really transformed this project into another culture, and being able to deploy more technology and push the industry forward. And we've seen the same in some of Nye Veier's projects, the road projects, where they're also applying parts or at least parts of the philosophies from the IPD contracts.
I see. So it's only US, or do you have any other examples of better type of contract?
Yeah, this has been tested in a lot of projects from I don't get a complete overview of it, but there's done some studies around it, and I know that lean construction it's possible to get access to some interesting white papers about the outcomes and the outcomes of using IPD contracts.
What about other countries, like for example UK, United Kingdom? Do you know anything about the way they work?
I know that at least UK set kind of quite ambitious goals for the industry through this BIM level program, if you could call it that, these different BIM stages. It's kind of more or less the same way that Statsbygg has been pushing the industry forward. The governments in the UK, or government in the UK, has done the same. So that has absolutely been very important to development of BIM in UK as well. But I don't know how much they've been working with IPD contracts and different standards in UK.
I don't know how other people see this, but for me, if you're working in the building industry, like in the AEC industry, either if you like it or don't like it, or you want or don't want, you are a part. You must use BIM at some point. You are involved because it the all the information we have on the projects, the I in this word, right? It's information. You must use it some way, actively, or like to define something else in the project. If you have people that don't work directly with this, even if they are project managers, project leaders, or I don't know, other kind of positions they have, if they would like to learn more about BIM, or maybe switch to a BIM position, what would you recommend them to do? How could they do that? If would that be possible?
So that much must be just start off. Don't be afraid, and maybe just to start in a smaller scale, a small project or a smaller area of BIM implementation. So it's possible just to use the BIM visually, just to as a model to communicate around, or you could extract information from it, use it for calculation, coordination, cross disciplines, and so forth. So the main advice would be just to don't be afraid and start up, and bring the BIM to the table, bring it into the meetings, and then you'll see that you catch people's attention and they start to communicate around the BIM. So that's maybe one of the easiest ways just to start. And yeah, if you're working in with buildings, at least to learn just the basic features in software like Solibri, for example, or another BIM viewer, free BIM viewer. That won't take much time. That's an hour of training on YouTube probably, and then you're up and running.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. How can people get in touch with you, Øyvind?
Well, yeah, LinkedIn is a good start. Yeah, so people will find me on LinkedIn.
That's awesome. Thank you very much for being with us here today and for sharing.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity. It was a nice conversation.
Thank you.
Yeah.